Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me back on the mat. This practice is going to be predominantly a yin practice that we're targeting or intentional. The intention behind the practice is that we, in a few days in the southern hemisphere, will be going through the autumn equinox. So that's the balance between light and dark. The daylight hours and the night at the dark hours are equal. Um, and it's actually one of my favorite times of the year. Autumn is my favorite season. So yeah, we will be experiencing that in a few days. So this is a very grounding practice, heart openers, targeting the lung meridian and the large intestine meridian. Lots of expansion through the chest and lots of grounding postures. Autumn's a season for release and letting go. It's often themed around in yoga. So you may be noticing the seasons changing wherever you're from. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you'll be moving into spring. So that's always a nice time. People tend to be a bit over winter, but here in Australia, we are definitely over our summer. It has been warm. So even though it is still warm, you can notice that the seasons are changing. There's different colors outside in the trees. We don't experience that a lot like some other places, but we definitely have some foreign trees around that are starting to change their colors. It's still feeling pretty dry, but the days are cooling down. We get beautiful night skies and sunsets this time of the year. And even if you pay attention to the seasons and how they change, you may have noticed that you are eating differently. I know we are definitely leaning away from salads and heading more towards cooked vegetables and more nourishing meals as those nights cool down a bit. So this practice can be done at any time, obviously. It's going to be a lovely grounding practice. So maybe that's just what you need. But otherwise, my intention for my practice here will be that transition into autumn. So we will begin in a wide-legged child's pose. You will need 2 blocks or a bolster. Potentially, you can do without maybe a couple of pillows, but they will be handy. At least a couple of pillows. We're going to do an opening chest pose at the end, but we will use the blocks now if you like. So we're going to come into a wide-legged child's pose, big toes together, knees as wide as you're comfortable with. And for me, I like to sit back in my heels first and then melt the upper body forward. I'm going to use my blocks out in front just to help elevate the hands here, just to help open a little bit more through the chest. Forehead melts down to the mat. If you need the space, you can also rest your forehead on a block. And then we're just going to allow ourselves to settle into this shape. Last few breaths. Let's really focus on that exhale. Nice, long, full breath out. Finishing that last breath out, we lift the gaze a little. If we elevated the hands, we shift that out the way. We're going to walk all 10 fingers over to the right, melting down here. Thinking about finding that space through the left side body, the left fingertips actively reaching away from the left hip actively reaching in the opposite direction. Lifting the gaze, moving over to the left. There's no rush. The transitions are just as much a part of the practice as finding that shape. Melting down when you're ready. Let's begin to come out of the shape, back to our child's pose. Take a final breath here. Again, really focusing on that exhale. Letting go of the breath. Slowly walk our hands in. And we'll bring the legs out in front. Hands supporting behind us. Fingers can face in or out. And the feet are going to be mat distance apart. A few little left to rights just to release those hips there. Okay, you shift around on your mat. When that feels complete, you bring both legs out nice and long. Let's actually take them out to the edges of the mat, as wide as you're comfortable with. We're not looking for a full opening. I would like there to be a little bit more space than to have the feet together. So just about hip distance apart where you're comfortable. Let's have the legs active, toes pointing to the sky. Find all that length through the spine, really draw up through the crown of the head, and then begin to melt the upper body forward. If we reach the toes, that's okay. Thinking more about surrendering down into the mat and then trying to force your body into a shape or look for that active stretch. Think more about, with each exhalation, we just release a little more. The body can soften a little more, and maybe the upper body melts a bit closer down to the floor. Few more breaths here. And really long exhales. Slowly walking the hands in, upper body rises. A little bit of movement through the neck or shoulders. We're going to make our way into a twist, which can be done with or without a block or support. I'm going to use my block and I will explain why. Left leg's going to stay long. Right leg is going to come in and cross over the left. Left hand hugging that right knee. Right hand coming behind. Now I can touch the floor with my right hand here, but for the sake of opening my chest, I'm going to keep my hand on that block just to keep everything nice and even, and having that little bit more space just helps me to find a little bit more space through the chest. So we are going to hold here, so it doesn't need to be a maximum. Just finding out where we need to be, closing down the eyes if comfortable, noticing how we're feeling here, and chin on the breath. Last two breaths. Staying for the exhale. And slowly unravel. Send the right leg out long. Reaching the hands to the sky. Give the fingers a little wriggle. Find that space. Arms come down. Go to the other side. Right leg's going to stay nice and long. We bring the left leg in. Cross it over that right leg. If this is not achievable for you today, you can keep that foot on the inside and find the same shape. So right hand hugs that knee, and then we find length and twist open. We're looking for a nice open chest here. Shoulders drop away from the ears. I'm trying to settle into some stillness. Last 2 breaths. Nice long intentional out breath. Stay for that exhale. Unravel here. Both legs go long. Give them a little shake. Again, we can find that length, that space through the spine by reaching the fingers up towards the ceiling. Give them a little wriggle. And release. Making our way into our final shape before our Shavasana, we will use our 2 blocks for our chest opener. If you don't have the blocks, again, pillows, bolsters, along the upper back, the shoulder blades. I am going to use my 2 blocks. The one that will be supporting my back will be on that medium setting, and then I'll have one supporting my head on the low setting. So to get into this shape, I'm going to keep my legs bent and slowly melt my upper body back. This middle one supporting the back is along where sort of your bra line is, along that lower space of the shoulder blades, and then enough space between the two so that the head can rest back and be supported there as well. When you're here, you can keep your feet to the floor, legs can go long, or you can bring the soles of your feet together for a reclined butterfly. Arms, I'm going to keep mine out to the side today, but you could rest them on your belly or pelvis if you like here. If this is too much, you may want to do the block supporting the back on the lower setting and remove the one from the head. Once you've found your position, we bring our awareness back to our breath, tuning in to particular those exhales, letting go with each out breath, physically and mentally. Let go and allow your body to sink down into the ground a little more, to be supported. Also, perhaps letting go of whatever we no longer need or that we don't need to bring with us to this new season. Last few breaths here. Staying for that exhale. Let's come out. Slowly bring those feet back in. And gently we make our way to our side. Remove that block from behind us. Remove the block from the head. Make your way back onto your back. Knees into the chest. Few rocks from left to right. Help bring the spine back into alignment. When that feels complete, we come back into, we meet back in stillness. Hug the knees tightly into the chest. Back of the neck is long. Gently release the legs out, making your way into your Shavasana. The legs long, arms wide out to the sides, shoulders slightly tucked under. We let go of any effort on the breath and allow the body to soften. To be held by the earth below. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Becoming aware of sensation within the body. When you're ready, we can begin to invite movement through the fingers and the toes. Maybe arms overhead, we cross the ankles. Full body stretch. Release down. Rolling onto your side. Little pause here. Allowing yourself to be supported. When you're ready, slowly press up to a comfortable seat. Any last little wriggles that we need through the shoulders, the neck, the spine. Finding space through the chest and the spine. Noticing the earth below and where the body meets, connects down with the earth. Feeling supported, safe and connected. Hands meet in prayer at the heart. Chin drops down to the chest. That completes our autumn equinox practice or our grounding yin practice. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope to see you soon.